Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another AFL Fantasy Fanatics pre-lockout chat ahead of round 19. We are recording live on Friday, the 19th of July, just a couple of hours away from Friday Night Footy getting underway. I'm your host, Bales, and you can find me at BalesDT across the socials. I'm not joined by Jordox or Tim today. They've both got other commitments they've got to do. Obviously, Friday is obviously quite difficult for people to jump on, and I know that people got other things to deal with, so it's all good. But I've got a couple of guests to jump on. And I'll introduce the first guy. He was on early in the season. It's been a little bit since we've had him on, but it's good to get him back on. He's Fryer, mate. How are you?
I'm well, Bales. Thanks for having me again. Yeah, I've been a busy man overthinking my fantasy trades week in, week out, so I haven't been able to dedicate a lot of time to the valued fantasy community. But no, happy to jump on and ready to get stuck into some interesting weekend of fantasy footy.
Yeah, exactly. How's your season gone to date so far?
I reckon it probably summarises my actual footballing ability. You know, I'm out there and I'm competing, but there's not a lot of relevant things occurring in the fantasy realm. But no, everyone's had ups and downs throughout the whole season. I think I find myself still battling in Calvin territory around the 10,000 mark. I think I'm 12,000th rolling into this weekend, but I've continued to move up and had some good and some bad. So still dedicated as ever.
Yeah, no, exactly right. Yeah, just got to 1 week at a time, I guess, is what you got to look at it as.
That's it. That's it.
Yeah. And joining us is actually first time on the Fantasy Fanatics pre-lockout chat. And actually any Fantasy Fanatics pod, because he's been in America for the last couple of years, but he's back in Australia and he's back. He's got his dinner now and he's jumped on for a bit of a chat. He's Nathan from HatChat. Mate, how are you?
Good, mate. How you going?
Yeah, good. Just looking forward to some Friday night footy. Hopefully see the Crows actually win against Eston in Melbourne for a change, but we'll see how we go. But how's your season gone to date, mate? Obviously juggling, obviously being overseas for the first part of the season. How's your season gone so far?
Yeah, look, not ideal. Everything was a bit tough. I think at some point I was ranked 14,000th. But ever since I was decided to come back and focus on that, I'm now up into 4,500, which wouldn't be normally too bad. I'd normally be okay with that. But unfortunately, I am the worst coach on my podcast at the moment. So I am desperately trying to figure out how to rectify that situation. I'm hoping Jake will bottle it at some point and trade in Elliot Yeo for a donut. But unfortunately, when I'm relying on Jake to make mistakes, that is unfortunate for me. But, hopefully can make our way up. My goal is top 3K by the end of the year. We'll see if we get there.
Yeah, well, I thought it was going to be Sanch for a fair bit, but he's had a massive sort of month or two, and he's gone shot right up the rankings. So he's looking like almost like a top 2K finish the way he's going. And Jake's obviously had a very good year. Thankfully, I had a big week last week. Otherwise, he would have probably got in front of me. But luckily, that the gap's a little bit wider, so I can stay in front of him. But boys, so obviously we've got not. I don't think there's too much on the news front. I think probably obviously the big thing is Finn McGuinness being named. And I assume he's probably going to go tag Nick Daicos. I don't know if I'm assuming you boys are both owners of Daicos, but Nate, I'll start with you. Would you be, well, I guess worst case, are you able to loop Daicos on your bench with like a Humphreys or a Logan Evans or someone, or is there a way of maybe trading him out maybe for this week to bring him back next week? What are your thoughts with the Daicos tag coming up?
Look, at the moment, it's a bit difficult to try it because my only loop option plays Saturday, the first game there. The Saints rookie, I forget, like Sean Makers or something. So he's my only loop option. So I don't really have that potential. And it's leaning me towards trading out Daicos. At this moment, I don't have Sinclair. So Sinclair against West Coast could be ginormous. So it could be potentially a 90-point swing just this round. And I'd look to maybe get him in. But I've got a couple of other underperforming primos that I might be looking to get rid of and play safe. So all still a bit up in the air at the moment.
Yeah, if you trade, is the aim to get him back for next week for that Richmond matchup?
Yeah, that's essentially it. I'm pretty happy with my team, how it stands. So my worst players, I think, I'd say Sarong and Matt Kennedy. But with Kennedy coming back in with all the injuries that Carlton have had, that's my main decision at the moment is do I go Sinclair to go Daicos to Sinclair or go Kennedy to either a Fisher or a Myers. But with the injuries that Carlton have had, I'm confident that Kennedy will get in and hopefully should be at least a safe 80.
Yeah, well, with the Carlton injuries, they've actually named a few defenders out, and Kennedy's actually been named at half back. So he'll probably have that half back role because look at their team. Brody Kemp was dropped, and Jordan Boyd's out injured, and they brought in a forward, a mid forward, a midfielder, and a forward. So no defenders. So and he's been named at half back flank with Sard. So that might be interesting if he's playing off half back against North. Could be a decent score for him. So Fry
The
Daicos,
offensive powerhouse it is North.
Yeah, exactly. Well, no, North have actually been hard to score against, actually. I sort of was looking at Newman as an option, but then looking at North, they're like the hardest matchup for designated kickers. So I thought that's interesting, obviously, with North trying contested games, so I'm putting that pressure on the last few weeks. So be interesting to see how they go. Fry, what are you looking at with Daicos? Is he trade for you? Can you loop him? Would you advise people to loop him? What are you looking at with Daicos?
I think I'm in the position where I've still just got to keep him. I've got a couple of other issues I'd rather address this week. But as Nath pointed out, there's a lot of options and somewhat uniques, like a Sinclair. You mentioned Nick Newman as well. He's someone that I've considered this round. I think there are a couple of defenders that interest me, and it's probably going to see a stinker score from Daicos. I think we all expect it, and that might be an 80. It might be, something awful like a 50 or 60 odd. So those in a good position who have the opportunity to trade Daicos, you can. As you mentioned before, he's got Richmond next week, so you'd want to do a bit of a flick him out and then grab him back. But there's a lot of coaches that did that with Heaney potentially last round as well. So, yeah, I give the green light to trading Nick Daicos, but unfortunately I'll just have to leave him sitting at D4 or 5, wherever he is for me at the moment, and just hope he manages to shake McGuinness.
Yeah, exactly. We got 90 odd, 95 or something early in the year when McGuinness tagged him for a bit for the first half. The second half sort of fell away, and maybe if the game sort of Hawthorn are winning by a lot or vice versa, or game takes a different turn, then maybe they drop the tag and Daicos can get to a solid score. I'm actually bringing in a red dot because I don't actually have a red dot besides McAuliffe to loop my VC this week. So I thought, well, I'll bring in a red dot this week to loop my VC and then loop Daicos with Humphreys. So I'm actually bringing in, I think he's Gray from Richmond, defender forward rookie.
Yep.
They play the last game. They play on the Sunday in every week, except for obviously this week, which is Saturday night, which is fine. And then they play like the first game on the Saturday in a couple weeks' time, but that won't worry me anyway later on in the season. So bring him in this week to loop Humphreys and also loop my VC and C. And then I was originally going to be going for Nick Newman this week, bringing him in, but with the fact that Daicos got potential tag, and for me to be able to loop Humphreys, I need to bring in Tom Stewart. Can't quite afford Nick Newman because I'm trading out Ari Shellmaker instead of Joe Richards because Shellmaker's obviously not named, and it gives me that flexibility to put Humphreys back into my defence. So, Fry, what are you looking to do with your moves this week? Nathan was alluding to his trades before. What are you looking at doing with your trades this week?
I think I'll try and upgrade Will Day this round. I'm tossing up between a couple of players. I've got Paddy Cripps and Lockie Neal in my sights, but Adam Treloar I traded in about this time last year, and he ended up with 3 130s from his last 5. So I'm hoping I can go back to the well there, and he scores great against Geelong this week. I am a little bit concerned about Colby McKercher as well. He's sitting at D6.
Yeah.
And with Schoenmaker out, I've now got no cover in my backline if he does miss or if he's a late out or they swing a late change. So with my second trade, I don't love it, but I might have to go down the route of grabbing someone like a Joe Fonte or Hugh Bond tonight. And then at least, if they come out and get a 30 or 40, there's some points there if Colby is going to miss.
Yeah, I got a feeling he could because I know, obviously, first year player. It's this foot issue that has sort of been hovering around. So I'm sort of just a bit nervous that they said, if he trains on the Saturday, he's got like going okay, like wording of like okay and stuff like. So no, there's no positivity really around it too much. And Fisher's back, so like they might just go, well, there's no point risking him. Obviously, being a first year player, North don't have sort of as much to play for. So, Nathan being the North fan, what do you think? Do you think McKercher, do you see him playing this week?
I see them trying to get some run into him, but for me, he's obviously got the Saturday. So I wouldn't be, if you're owning him, I wouldn't be trading any player in tonight or tomorrow before the captain's run. I think North will be pretty clear. They've been pretty clear the last couple of years, really, about when a player's missing or when a player's not coming in. Clarkson, they've not needed to keep things secret because they're not favourites anyway. So I think we'll know relatively early tomorrow if Colby is playing. I think there'll be a few people at the captain's run going, yeah, he did not look good at all. And so I think at that point, obviously trade him if he's not playing, because they've been relatively hesitant with him, obviously giving him 2 weeks in the VFL to rest up. But there's also the potential that whatever he does, he twinges a little bit in the game and he has to go off. So yeah, if you own him, I'd be a little bit worried. But also for the same reason, I'd be worried about bringing Fisher in because he might play.
Yeah, exactly right. So I'm
For
probably
me,
watching
it's
Fisher at least for a week.
If Colby plays, Fisher is 50% chance of being a sub. If Colby doesn't play, Fisher is probably going to score 110.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, probably go quite well, I think. I'll quickly just go through my captains for the week, and then we'll get to some questions. So my captain order did shift a tiny bit with Jack Graham being out for Richmond this week. So my captains, I've gone Tim English number 1. That Geelong matchup is too juicy, and obviously highlighted by Darcy Cameron's 147 and 58 hitouts last week. I've got Ryan Marshall at 2 against West Coast. We've seen some rucks have gone big against West Coast this year. And I think Marshall's got the ceiling. He's back at Marvel, and I think he'll go well, even though Eagles have been a little bit trickier to score on for rucks this season. Butters is up to number 3 now with that Richmond matchup. No tag. I think he's going to go really big, and I don't think he's going to be subbed out again. Like he had it a couple of weeks ago. I don't think it's going to happen this early. I've got Bont at 4. Just a bit of a worry that maybe someone shows him attention, but if it is an Atkins, I just see Bont sort of just being too big for him, and I think he'll go well anyway. I've got the Nank at number 5. Good matchup against Port. Jordan Sweet is a good matchup for rucks to score against, so I think Nank will go well. Rosie is in at number 6 again with the Richard matchup. Mentioned it with Butters before, and Rosie again could score as well as anyone on this list. So he's at number 6. I've got Cherry at number 7, which feels really low for a guy that's got Carlton this week with no Pitney. And he could be a guy that scores really well. He's at number 7. Whitfield at 8, Gold Coast this week. I think he could go quite well. Merritt at 9 tonight if you want to go VC tonight. I can't see the Crows aren't going to tag him. I don't think. I can't see Keys going to him unless Merritt's absolutely going bonkers and maybe they send him there. And they've actually snuck Jack Sinclair in at number 10. That West Coast matchup, I feel like there could be a ceiling score there. So I snuck him onto the list ahead of a Paddy Cripps, who I don't mind against North as well. So this week, I'll be going Ryan Marshall, vice captain, into Tim English captain. Nathan, what are you looking at doing with your captain and vice captain this week?
I brought in Tim English last week, so as to repay the faith, obviously going English over Marshall was not the greatest of options. So I'm going to back him in and go all or nothing. And so I've got English as captain, and then I've got the VC on Merritt for tonight, just because I enjoy a good Friday VC.
Yeah, no, love it, mate. Bri, what are you doing with your captain and vice captain this week?
I'm copying Nath, actually. I missed out on Marshall and Nank, who I was eyeing off very carefully last round, and grabbed Timmy English. So hoping that he has a monster against Geelong, but I'm tempted to captain Adam Treloar as a bit of a pod on debut for the large fries and Coke. I am a little bit worried, like you said, that Atkins will run with someone. So naturally, the bloke I trade in will get 80 and the others will get 140. But yeah, vice captain probably on Merritt tonight, and hope he takes care of business for me anyway.
Yeah, beautiful, mate. And I'll just quickly talk about the Content Creators Cup as well, because we are into our final round before the final start, and we have got a very, very close. So we've got essentially from 3rd all the way down is not sorted yet. So Mitch has locked up the minor championship, so he is 1st. I've got a bit of a buffer on 2nd. I'm not going to catch Mitch though, so I've got 2nd there. But then you've got Roy, Jepper, Mini Monk are all 11 and 7. You got Warney is 10 wins, a draw, and 7 losses. So that could be quite important when it comes to all this. But then you got DC, Luke, Holmesy, Nathan, who's on the call with us, are all 10 and 8. And then you got Stato and Sancho are 9 and 9. So 12 teams still in it and could all make it depending on how the matchups go. And in terms of matchups there, you've got Nathan is up against Mitch. So if he can knock over Mitch this week, he might be able to sneak in there. Then you've got Roy's up against Warney. Calvin's up against Louis. You've got Mini Monk up against Luke's. That's going to be a big game there, 5th versus 8th. That could shape a lot of what's going to happen with the top 8. MJ's got Jepper. DC has got Harmy. Hef has got Stato. I've got Rids. Tim has got Holmesy. And Sanch has got Jake. So Jake could actually spoil the party for Sanch and knock him out of the Content Creators Cup top 8. or Sanch gets the job done, he might again be able to sneak in there. So it's going to be very interesting to see. Me and Tim will be able to go through that more in depth on Sunday night. But Nathan, how are you feeling ahead of playing the number 1 team this week?
Look, you face the top 10 coach, and anyone would be nervous, but I'm not. I'm extraordinarily confident. I've had 7 this is my 7th elimination final. In order to be where I am, I've had to win each of the last 6 games, and I have done that. I'm the form coach of the competition. Never scoring well, but just always scoring slightly better than my opponent. So unfortunately for Mitch, I tend to drag people down to my level and then beat them just a little bit. And then between Mitch and I think we have like 7 or 8 unique scorers. So it'll be interesting to see. But if I make it to the finals, I'll know it's well deserved. Whereas, 6 weeks ago, it looked like I was battling Sanch for last place. So, we both had a turnaround.
Yeah, exactly. And looking here, there is only one coach that's won 5 in a row, and you've won 6 in a row. So, Nathan, as you say, you are the informed coach. So if anyone's going to do it, it could be Nathan this week. We'll be very interested to see who makes it there. Beautiful. Well, let's get into a heap of questions. If you are watching live on YouTube or Twitter and would like your question answered, your player want discussed, then send through your questions in live chat wherever you're watching. And if you'd like your question guaranteed to be answered, then there is a super chat button there if you wish. But hopefully we get to all the questions anyway, so it won't matter. So the first question is from, actually, we do have a super chat here from Jared Ventress. So thank you very much for that, mate. I'll pop the question up on the screen there. Trading in Zack Taylor as my downgrade, but should I change and hold off till tomorrow in case McKercher is out? We'll go red dot with cash on the bench already. So Fry, as the rookie man, does this come down to Jared's sort of bench and what it's looking like? Are you probably more happy to wait to maybe miss on Zack Taylor if the bench cash is good already and maybe getting another sort of either red dot or a green dot that's playing to cover McKercher?
Yeah, I think so. It depends a bit on what your defensive bench looks like. For example, if you've got Lawson Humphries or Logan Evans and Colby is listed out, then you might have a bit of an option there to toggle between a few players. But Zack Taylor, it's an interesting one. He hasn't had the greatest sample scoring consistency. Obviously, he was the sub the first 2 games he played and then turned it on last week against St Kilda with an 86. So I wouldn't be shocked if we saw him wear one of the vests tonight, which is kind of why I pushed him down my rookie ranks this week just a smidge. Low break even, and if you can bring in a bloke that's 216k, it does free up a bit of cash for upgrades elsewhere. But to answer his question, I probably would hold off on bringing in Taylor tonight, depending on how the bench is looking. I think a lot of coaches will be flush with some green dots, so there's no desperate need to jump onto Zack Taylor.
Yeah, and I've got that option as well. I thought, as a Crows fan, I thought Zack Taylor's looked pretty good when he's come on as sub and looked good last week, but I'm the same. I've got a Shellmaker who's gone this week, Joe Richards, even came across over 300k. Humphries is going to be over 400k, so, and Billy Dowling. So I think a few of us have got those guys. So I think I'm foregoing him and getting in a red dot to help with looping. And if you need someone to cover tomorrow, you can always bring in an option tomorrow. So, yeah, I'd be doing the same thing there. But thank you very much for the super chat there, Jared. Figliameno has got this question. Hey, boys, is Whitfield into Nankervis good for captain and vice captain this week? So, Fry, what are your thoughts on Whitfield VC into Nank?
Yeah, I love that. I'm all over Nankervis as a ruck pod. I might even look at trading Grundy or English out if they dip over the last 6 weeks to bring Nank in. He's had 2 140 pluses within the last 5 or 6 weeks. So, yeah, ripper unique, and hope Lockie Whitfield goes well as well. He's someone that I've thought about with my captain or vice captain badge, but yeah, sound like 2 ripper options to me.
Yeah, I agree. Eric's got this question, Nathan. So I know that Eric is currently ranked 14th overall, so going very nicely there. He said, "Hey guys, going Daicos going Daicos to Stewart, then moving Colby to either Max Holmes, Dan Houston, or Nasai Wangani Miller. Which player do you prefer out of those 3?"
I'm not a fan of Houston at the moment. I think that particularly ranked 14th, I feel like bringing in a Houston, he could pop out a 60 or 70, which would mean you're in a bit of trouble there. For me, then it's Holmes or Wangani Miller. For me, I think the safer option is Wangani Miller. You'll probably match quite a few people around you in the top 100 as well, but is unique enough of a pod that he could push you up into the top 10 if he does well against West Coast this week. But if your objective is just to, I want to hold on to that hat and then maybe push for the top 10. But if you're going, well, I still think I'm in the chance of a top 5 finish, then going at Holmes could be the ultimate pod. But in saying that, I would like Wangley Miller against a West Coast this week. I think he could go 110.
Yeah. Just looking here, both Nasai and Holmes are both under 10% ownership in the top 1,000. So both, I think Nasai was more owned. I think it was just that when he was out, I think before the buys, I think when he missed a game, I think a few people moved off. But yeah, they're both consistent. So yeah, I think I like both. Obviously, if you could get a Sinclair, maybe that could be a potential play there. But Eric did ask about Stewart, but I guess a few people have asked as well this week about Rivers and Stewart. Nathan, who would you be picking between Rivers and Stewart if you had to pick one?
Well, my first trade is Crisp down to Stewart, so I absolutely would be going Stewart because that's what I'm doing. So whether or not that means you will follow me or go absolutely not, I don't want to follow that, and then go with the other one instead. So it depends how much you respect and adore me. So in which case, absolutely going the other way.
Yeah, I'm Stewart as well there. Fry, who are you out of Stewart and Rivers?
Yeah, I'm Stewart as well. Rivers' time on ground has still been relatively low, even though he's been putting up some monsters. He's a pod that I've considered, but I think there is a little bit of safety in numbers by grabbing Tom Stewart. I think he's second or third most traded in player this week. But if I had to pick one who's going to be the better fantasy player for the home stretch and this week, it's probably Stewart over Rivers.
Yeah, I agree. I just think that role, midfielder, just go back, get some +6s late in quarters or whatever. I think that's good. Ryan will be going him. Brad McLeod, hey Bars, if Taylor is not named sub tonight, is he the top downgrade option? As a Crows man, what are your expectations of his scoring? Would you also tick off Daicos to Goulden given the tags coming up? Firstly, I would tick off Daicos to Goulden. I think that's a trade that you could do. Maybe look to get Daicos back in next week for that Richmond matchup. But I know he does have a couple of tags after that Richmond matchup, so you could take him on for that week if you want. In terms of Taylor, obviously Fry was saying that his scoring in the SANFL hasn't been too great. If he's not the sub, I don't anticipate that he is. We obviously will get word of that in about 10 minutes or so. And if you aren't following AFL subs on Twitter, make sure you do. Jordox and Eloise running that account together, putting out the subs as soon as they're released and late changes. So you'll get that. And push notification, turn notifications on as well, so you get notifications as soon as that happens, because you don't have to worry about opening anything. You just look at your phone notifications and it's already there. So, but if he's not the sub, he could go cab. I'm not expecting 80s and 90s each week like he did last week. He's probably more a 60s guy, maybe 55 to 65, I think. Next question we'll go to from is Harley Reid Fry. So he says, whether it is the actual Harley Reid or not, we'll never know. Daicos and Philippou to Sinclair and Myers, or Young and Philippou to Moore and McKercher?
I'd probably steer clear of trading Colby in. As Nathan said, if Fisher's in, that's going to impact his scoring, and there is a bit of a cloud of doubt over whether he's actually going to line up this week. So, and Dylan Moore doesn't really excite me. For that same matter, I guess Brian Myers is just as volatile, but I'd probably steer towards avoiding Colby this round and go on the first option. Yeah,
I would as well. And then you can always go Young to Daicos next week if you want, or if you want to keep Young with the West Coast matchup, you can trade another defender or even a midfielder out to Daicos the week after. Matt, he's asking, Nathan, would you go Whitfield VC into English or English VC into Cherry?
Oh, I want to say the big X there. I just feel as though in terms, well, that's the thing. I think I'd go English into Cherry, not because I think Cherry will outscore Wits, but I just think there's a case where Whitfield scores 110 and you go, yeah, I'll take that. That's fantastic. And then English will put on a monster on your head. So I think it's more likely that English goes a 150. And in that case, if English fails, then Cherry seems to be a safe 110. So just for the weird risk reward of it, I'd be going English into X.
Yeah. And then also we Carlton with no Pitney as well. So Cherry's going to have a good matchup there. Could go very, very well. Edward Johnson, Fry says, Treloar, Bont or Butters? I'm liking Treloar. So out of those three, obviously Treloar and Bont have got the John matchup. Butters has got that Richmond matchup this week, which is great. But then he runs into, I think, Carlton and Sydney back-to-back. So if you had to pick one, who are you picking out of the three?
Bont.
I'm picking Treloar as well, but yeah, Bont, his ceiling is just so extreme, so it's hard to pass up considering he's obviously got the Geelong matchup as well. If you want the pod and you want to try and chase a little bit of rank, you could roll the dice with Adzi Treloar. But I think given the matchup they've got on the cards this weekend, I'd pick either of them a smidge ahead of Zach Butters. Has been known to have a dud quarter here and there that can lower his potential ceiling. So for me, it's Adam Treloar, considering I'm trading him in this week, but it's close to a coin flip.
Yeah, I agree. I'm just seeing his no, I don't think. I was going to say if Marlon Pickett was playing, he was the only other guy I've seen that's done a job for Richmond in the past, but he's not. So I don't see anyone there that would even be close to doing a job. But yeah. And then thoughts on bringing in Steele, says Says as well, Fry. So maybe add Steele sort of into the mix these mids. What are your thoughts on and him as an option? West Coast this week.
Yep, that's another strong play. I think there's a lot of coaches similar with Wangan Miller around that round 15 bye. Some of those Saints blokes were traded out. So ownership might be a little bit lower amongst the top ranked coaches. So definitely an option. I probably prefer the more premium names we've listed, but Steele's start of the year got a lot of coaches, myself included, off to a flyer. So definitely one to consider, that's for sure.
Yeah. Next question comes from Luke Mac 38, and I realised with Nathan on here when I was asking about trading someone out, I didn't use the proper terminology, so I'll use that this time here. So Luke Mac 38 says, trade or spade Young, Sarong, and then Daicos, because he's going to Whitfield for one. So who are you trading and spading out of those three? Oh, you're on mute, Nathan.
That's fair. Sorry, could you repeat which players they were?
Hayden Young.
Hayden Young, or
Yeah,
probably... I'd be trading Sarong over Young just because of the potential of what you could get there. I think if you can get Sarong up to one of the massive boys that Fry just talked about there, either Bomb or Treloar, I'd be looking to do that instead.
And then Daicos into that mix as well.
Daicos number one. I own Young, Sarong, and Daicos, and I'm trading Daicos at the moment this week.
Yeah.
I just think Sarong has the potential to turn it on a little bit. And Young as well with that matchup next week. I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, a lot of people have been talking about the Sarong getting the Neil Bullen tag. I actually think that's well, Fry. Actually, you've been the Freo man. Do you think that I think that Neil Bullen could go to Jordan Clark this week?
He could. He has been playing that forward mid role throughout the whole season. I think I'm bullish on a lot of these Dockers that we're trading out, bouncing back over the last half a dozen or so games. But yeah, his scores since the bye have been pretty miserable. So regardless of if he gets a tag or not, I don't view him as a home run pick anymore like I did previously. So it's a tiny flag, but I think if you're considering trading out Sarong anyway, it might be something that pushes you over the edge.
Yeah. Stephen Thomas has got this question, Nathan. Rosie or Whitfield in? Would do Whitfield into Butters if I go with Whitfield. Otherwise, it'd be Caldwell VC into Rosie. So what are your thoughts on Rosie or Whitfield? Mute again, Nathan.
It's hard to know based off who you're trading out. So for me, I think I will think Rosie will outscore Whitfield. But in that scenario, I think the person you're trading out probably is going to be better off to go for Whitfield in. I think just with this week with the matchup potential, I would be going Whitfield.
Yeah, he's got a massive.
But if you're trading out the same person, I like Rosie this week.
Yeah, and I'm like, what are your thoughts about a Caldwell VC? Obviously, there was rumours earlier in the week about him with a bit of calf tightness and stuff. It sounds like he'll play. Obviously, we'll know in about 4 minutes and we'll get confirmation of that, but he should play. But I'm a bit worried about a Caldwell VC personally.
I think just with the massive options that we have this week, we all have completed teams. It was enough for me to be a bit hesitant on because if you're very confident in your C, so if you're going with a more of a safer C with a ceiling like that Whitfield, then I don't mind it. But if you're going a bit of a riskier C like an English who's been known to score in between a 70 and a 150, then going for a Caldwell could doubly muck you up with that.
Yeah. Fast Break Fantasy's got this two-part question, Fry. So I'll go to you for this one because he's asking, who do you think will score less this week, Young or Sarong? So that's the first part of the question. So who do you reckon scores less?
It's a bloody good question. I think just purely going off the recent numbers, you'd probably pick Sarong to be the less high. Yeah, I'd go Sarong to be the worst scorer this week out of those two.
Yep. And then the second part to his question was he's going Day to Whitfield and then trade in Stewart for either Sarong, Young, or McKercher. So I think we're probably on the page. Would you be going McKercher with this news and keeping a Young and Sarong this week?
I think so. Like I've said, I'm probably one of the very few coaches that thinks the Dockers guys can rebound a bit and improve their scoring. But Colby McKercher, at the end of the day, he is still a rookie. If he does play this week, I wouldn't be shocked if he comes out. You know, he might still get to 70-odd points, but the idea of having Stewart sitting in that spot appeals to me much greater. So I still think Colby's the guy that we get rid of from that list, but there's obviously flags and concerns with all of them.
Yeah. And Nick, a mate of mine as well, has got this question about Luke Ryan Fry as well. He said lots of talk about getting rid of Ryan. It makes sense on paper, but with Alex Pearce coming back, would you hold this week?
Yeah, I think he's a 100+ type guy. He's had a bit of a lull over the last month or so. Another one that falls into that basket of Dockers that I think can rebound. There's nothing wrong giving him another run this week. Break even of off the top of my head 130 plus. So he's going to he's going to go down again. So if you're playing a bit of the long game and getting rid of him allows you to facilitate another move, I get it. But no, I do think holding Luke Ryan out of all the Dockers we've listed, I probably have the most faith in Luke Ryan finding his mojo.
Yeah, and the thing I'll probably just say to coaches are looking at trading him out. So yes, he's had 3 scores below 95. 3 scores below 70. Sorry, we got 70 or below. But the game last week, I wouldn't be reading too much into that game. The Freo Hawthorn game, it was stoppage after stoppage. It was just no one scored well. 2 rucks scored well. John Clark got a 104. But everyone else, like Sarong, Brayshaw, all got 80s. Like Young got an 80. Moore got 73 after being on 50 half time. So I wouldn't be reading too much into that as well. And their next month is pretty decent for defenders as well. So I agree.
I think like you said, that game was a bit of an anomaly. And I do think that Luke Ryan, through the first dozen weeks of the fantasy season, proved that he's one of the best fantasy defenders out there. If you're still missing a Whitfield type or trying to think of other superstar defenders that are must-haves.
I would say Daicos, but not this week, probably.
No, exactly. So, yeah, I think Luke Ryan survives.
Sheasel, maybe?
You could as well. But with an ownership so massive, like 64 or 5%, if you're one of the few coaches that don't have Sheasel, there's nothing wrong with still continuing to take him on. Tough matchup this week against the Blues. So, yeah, Luke Ryan survives for mine.
Yeah, the one thing, because I'm a non-owner of Sheasel, one thing that's on my Sheasel's top of my list within the next fortnight, because his end of the year he's got Geelong, Richmond, West Coast, Bulldogs, Hawthorn, and he could go massive in all those games. So I'm looking at probably getting him back in. But I agree, this week probably Carlton, maybe you don't. So I'm not sure. It'd be interesting to see who Chincotta goes to, if it's an LDU. But then again, I could see Hewitt going to LDU and then Chincotta going to Sheasel. So it'd be interesting to see how that all works out this week. Wado's got this question, Nathan. Whitfield or Dunkley in this week?
Whitfield, just based off the Sydney matchup for Dunkley.
Yeah, I think you go big.
Whitfield and then bring in a much better mid next week.
Yeah. And then Cade's got this question as well. I'll go to you, Nathan, for this one, because Fried a couple in a row with the Freo ones here. He said, is Toby Green an option over Brian Myers if the cash helps you for next week?
If the cash helps you for next week, no. If the cash helps you for this week, I would consider it. But we have Sanch and Alec looking to trade out Toby Green at the moment. So for me, it's definitely Myers over Toby Green.
Yeah. And I'm
especially with the whole next week thing. We're at the stage now where trades tend to be dictated to us a little bit in terms of one person's injured, one person gets a tag last minute, and we have enough cash with our rookies anyway, where it's not a massive issue. So unless there's a very, very clear plan for it, I'm 100% Myers over Toby Green.
Yeah, agreed. And I just got notification for the AFL subs and late changes for tonight. So Archie Perkins and Braden Cook are the subs for tonight. So all those Adelaide rookies, Hugh Bond, Zack Taylor, they're all playing, so which is good. And Caldwell is playing, so he's confirmed there tonight. And then on Toby Green as well, I'm looking at trading as well, because I've obviously got him on one of the only few. Me and Sanchi, only a couple that have got him, so I'm looking to trade as well. Bo Solomon, Fry's got this question: who's the better VC, Whitfield or Zach Merritt?
I mean,
I
I have
think
both.
Zach Merritt, but yeah, they're both great scorers. What do you reckon, Nate?
I've gone Merritt just because I tend to go to back in the mids is my philosophy on that. And I think I'm going to be punished less with Whitfield. I think there's a case for a Merritt 130 tonight. And
He's due a big game.
He is.
yeah, and I tend to obviously ranked where I am, tend to go, well, how can I best enjoy my weekend? And if I get a great Friday VC, I go perfect. If I get a terrible Friday VC, I go great. I can lock in on Tim English. Whereas if Merritt goes huge tonight, I'll be worried about until Lockie Whitfield plays. So
yeah,
that's it for me. But it's honestly flip of the coin, go with it, whichever player you like. Back in Calvin.
Yeah, well, looking at this corresponding game last year at Marvel, where the Bombers won by 18 points, I tell you what, if we get a game like this tonight, we'd be pretty happy with all their fantasy players. Merritt got a 150 with 39 touches, 7 marks, 6 tackles, and Dawson even got a 128 with 28 touches, 8 marks, 8 tackles. And Nick Martin won 17 and Laird won 16. So if people have got those guys, be happy. And Caldwell got an 82, but different role for him. So, yeah, Merritt's normally played pretty well against the Crows. Especially at Marvel. So, yeah, I'd be looking out for a big game from Merritt tonight. So I like him as a VC. Josh Lofts Fry says, g'day, guys. I used my last trade to upgrade Dowling, but can only get to someone with Bolton's price of 660K or work on the Freo boys like Ryan or Sarong and get one out. So would you be picking someone around that 660K mark or below or trading one of those Freo guys?
It's a dangerous area to be shopping in at this point of the season. So even though I've just given them all a pump up, I think, yeah, I'd prefer to get rid of one of those Dockers boys. You can obviously get up to a much better player by culling them as opposed to a Dowling. Hopefully could even find a way to keep Dowling and loop him tonight. And yeah, axe one of the Freo boys to get a better upgrade.
Yeah, if Josh, if you had 4K, I wouldn't mind Harry Mackay this week as a bit of a 1 week play. But it's, yeah, as Fry said, you're shopping in a bit of a dangerous area there as well. Like Toby Green's the other one, but I'm looking at trading Toby Green, so I'm not sure if you'd be bringing him in. And then Travis Boakes. Actually, no, to be fair, I don't mind Brad Hill at 640K, who's got West Coast this week. Then he's got the Bombers. All the games are at Marvel now. Him as an F6 could put up a ceiling score. So I'd probably even go him and keep the Freo guys and get the rookie off of the field. MP Nathan, trade Bailey Dale or Hayden Young. Can put Nick Martin into defence and grab a gun mid for one of those defenders. So who would you be trading?
Oh, well, I would have said Young, but Fry seems pretty hot on the Freo guys being back into it. So let me have a quick look at their prices. Oh, you get an extra 40K from Dale. Up against Geelong this week.
What's Bailey Dale done recently, scores-wise?
It's 103, 70, and then 89. So I like his matchup this week against Geelong, but then he's got Sydney, Melbourne, Adelaide, Northwood off the defenders and the Giants.
Could be back-to-back tags in from Jordan into Neil Bullen for Bailey Dale.
If your plan is to trade one this week and one next week, then trade out Young. But if your plan is just to trade one for now, then I'd be trading out Young. If your plan is to just trade one and be done with that for now, I'd be trading out Bailey Dale.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Yeah.
John Nichols, Fry said, Tom DeConing an option now that he's solo ruck, allows me to get Stewart from McKercher. So what are your thoughts on DeConing as an option?
I like that because it allows the second trade. Obviously, there's a bit of a risk going for TDK. Pitternet was in last week, could come back over the last 5 or 6 games. So it's risky, but he's unique. It's a potential way to get Colby off your field for Stewart. So if that's what it takes, then yeah, by all means, go for it.
Yep. Jack Summers, Nathan, says, would you rather loop Humphreys with Daicos or McKercher? Probably got to be McKercher then because of the injury risk, I guess.
Well, I'm trying to think, like, who did you have to... You've got some time to think about that, really.
Yeah,
I would say that wait for news from tomorrow and make that decision. If there's any doubt at all on McKercher, if everything is said except, yeah, all clear, we're good, if there's anything else that's not, he looks completely fine, I would do it with McKercher. But otherwise, Daicos could absolutely throw up a 40 or a 50.
Yeah, we saw it last year. So, could definitely happen again. Justin Janzon, I hope I've got that correct. Apologies, Justin, I haven't got it correct. Fry said, trade Young to Whitfield or Sarong to Dunkley or Butters. He's holding Simpkin and Elijah Holland. So, Young to Whitfield or Sarong to Dunkley or Butters.
I think you go for the midfielder. I mean, Butters with a matchup this week could be instant reward. Obviously, Dunkley's had an incredible run of recent games. I think, gun to my head, I'd say Sarong to Butters, because I do wonder if you're chopping out Hayden Young. Who do you say was the trade target?
It was a Young to Whitfield or Sarong to a Dunkley or Butters.
It's a close one. Yeah, I think you go Butters in this Richmond matchup and chop Sarong. But again, as I've said, I think Caleb being the gun midfielder that he's shown an elite fantasy game at times this season, I'm backing him to bounce back more than Hayden Young. So there's nothing wrong with pulling the trigger. Actually, no, I'm changing my mind. You go Hayden Young to Lockie Whitfield.
Yeah, no worries. All good. We'll go a couple more questions here just before we finish up, because I have to get ready for the watch song tonight. So if anyone wants to watch me watch my Crow Boys live, which doesn't happen too often, but that'll be very interesting. If you want to head over to that, I'll be streaming at 7:30 Eastern when we start that. So if you want to tune to that, then make sure you do. Mad Hatter, Dawson score. I'm top 20 looking for a pod. Well, Mad Hatter did see your 20s overall. I'm going to say Dawson is going to go anywhere from 105 to 115. I reckon it'll be an okay score. I don't think he's going to go massive. His form hasn't been good away from home. Besides Collingwood and North Melbourne, where he went over 115, he's been 100 or less in every other game away. So I'm not as confident he goes massive, but he's got a ceiling that he's shown this year that not all the other midfielders have been able to do. So you could look at him as a pod. I think he's under 30% owned in the top 1,000, under 20% in the top 100. So, definitely could be looking at that there. Team at Manus, Nathan, Myers, Fisher, Hollands, or Kennedy in the forward line. Other traders going Crisp to Stewart. So if you had to pick one of those four forwards, who are you going for?
I have disclosure, I have Kennedy instead of Myers, but I already have Kennedy. I think with the potential, while obviously he's unlikely to be subbed, given that Carlton have omitted or have injured basically half of their backline, I think that Kennedy's job is safe. I don't know about his role, so I wouldn't be bringing him in just yet. I think Myers, with his run come up, is a clear number one for me out of that list.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on Fisher? Obviously, we just need to watch another probably week with him and McKercher back. But do you think he can be a guy we look at bringing back in?
I don't think so. If him and Kirch are playing in the same role, I see a 90 ceiling for him. When Fisher was scoring really well was when they were looking at him up the middle in order to get those +6s as well, for him to distribute the ball. And then it was him and Colby together. I think they would look for Colby first, just because Colby's a little bit more damaging by foot.
Yeah. Tom Young, who's the best dummy on the forward on the bench forward mid? So I'm assuming you're asking about a red dot. I've looked at the fixtures. Hawthorn play every game on the Sunday, bar this week where they play the Twilight on the Saturday. But there's no, they're just forwards. So you just be going for a red dot forward. If you're looking for a player that's got multiple positions, Richmond have also got a lot of games on Sunday with only one game with an early game on the Saturday. I'd be going for, what's his name? Is it Campbell Gray? Campbell Gray is a defender forward. I know it's not a mid forward, so I'm not sure about who the mid forwards would be, but your best bet for a red dot forward defender would be Gray, I think. And we'll go final question here as we wrap up. Tim is actually tuning in saying, Tim looks sick. Hang on, that's Nathan. Oh, bloody Tim. Well, I know Tim has been crook, so, mate, hope you are feeling better, mate, and hopefully we'll get you back on Sunday night.
And I assume he means sick as in like, wow, he looks fully sick rather than unwell.
Yes, exactly. Final one will go Baden Cummins Green. So he says Sexton to Whitfield, then Revel to Zack Taylor means no looping ability for Daicos, etc. or do I go Sean Maker to a red dot and lose money on Rebel for next week, Nathan? So would you be happy to bring in a red dot to loop Daicos with someone and hold Rebel for an extra week to lose cash?
As long as Rebel's on your bench.
Yeah, I'm assuming.
Sorry. I'm just rereading the question. I would be happy to lose money on Rebel. I'd be happy to lose that. I don't think it'll be too much. I'd be happy to do that.
Yeah, and I can't imagine he'll be sub again. I was surprised he was even sub to begin with. So, and unfortunately, Jake had to feel the full force of that last week. So, hopefully, he's not again. Perfect. All right. Well, that is where we will wrap up. But we'll just quickly go through again what we're doing with trades. So, Fry, mate, what were you doing with your trades for the listeners that missed, and what was your vice captain and captain this week?
Now that Zack Taylor's dodged the vest, I'll probably go the aforementioned Bruce Revel down to him, which gives me enough money to get Will Day up to Adam Treloar, who I will do a coin flip depending on how my vice captain goes, which will be Zach Merritt tonight. If it's tails, it'll be Tim English. If it's heads, it'll be Adam Treloar on debut as my skipper.
Yeah. No, mate, love it. And Nathan, mate, what are you looking to do with your trades and captain, vice captain?
Well, I'm just trying to figure out how to use the word aforementioned in what I'm about to say, because it sounded quite great when Fry said it. As aforementioned, I will be going so I will go in Crisp to Stewart and Daicos to Sinclair, but that will be tentative, that second trade. If I believe it's more likely that Kennedy gets the sub, I'll likely go Kennedy to Myers.
Yep. Beautiful. And then my trades, I'm going a Ari Shellmaker down to a red dot in Campbell Gray, allow me to loop between Daicos and Humphreys this week. And then I'll be going Will Powell up to Tom Stewart as my upgrade there. And captain, vice captain, I'm going Ryan Marshall, vice captain, into a Tim English. But that'll wrap us up. Thank you very much, boys, for jumping on. Nathan, good to have you on the pod, mate. Where can the people find you and follow HatChat, and where can they get the HatChat pod?
Oh, yeah. I've never had to do this part before. Follow me at Obermullet, and we are AFL Fantasy HatChat if you want to listen to just four idiots talking. I guess three, Sanch doesn't come in anymore. If you want to listen to three idiots talking.
Beautiful, mate. Good to have you on, and I'm sure we'll get you on again very soon. Fry, mate, thank you very much for jumping on. Obviously, been a while since in between drinks, mate, but good to have you back on. Where can the people find you, the Sports by Fry pod, and also the Patreon?
Yeah, thanks, mate. My pleasure for jumping on. Hopefully we can string a couple more of these together before the season ends. As you mentioned, Fantasy Sports by Fry is my Patreon page. Did a piece this week looking at all the red dot rookies you can trade in. Campbell Gray did make the list. So there's a couple of bits and pieces there that you can check out. And obviously Sports by Fry on all the socials. Yeah, that's where you find me.
Beautiful, mate. No, thank you very much for jumping on. And you can find me at BalesDT across the socials. And if you guys have got any questions that you'd like answered while my bloody throat's being a bit annoying as we're doing that, then go to Ask Me on Q, spelled QU.com/AFL Fantasy Fanatics, where I can answer your trade questions, draft questions, captain, vice captain questions, or team dependent question where you can send through your whole team, screenshots included there as well. Small fee there, but it does help support the channel and also get some more in-depth answer into your email box if you'd like to do that. But if not, I can answer all your questions in the comments sections below as well there. But thanks everyone for tuning in. We'll catch you guys on Sunday night for our not a pre-lockout chat. That's what this is now. Our round review as well. So thanks everyone for tuning in. Good luck this week, and tune into the watch long as well, which will be starting very shortly. Hopefully the Crows get a win. Thanks guys. Have a good weekend. See ya.
Thanks, Fails.
Thanks, mate.
All right, everyone, thank you for watching on YouTube. Make sure you smash a like on the video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. So thanks, guys. Have a good week.